Well, good afternoon. I'm Apostle Shayna Shagwar, and I am here with Boots on the Ground Global Training Center, where we have our boots on the ground concerning the things of God. Thank you so much for joining us today. Please feel welcome to like, love, comment, share, and invite others to join you here. We're going to carry on this noonday. I hope you had a great lunch so far. Get your little word to go with that natural food. Get some spiritual food. I'm going to continue with Nehemiah 2, the second chapter, for your daily teaching today. And again, yesterday I told you that Nehemiah was the cupbearer to King Artaxerxes. King Artaxerxes. The king noticed that his face was very sad in his heart. Servants had to be happy when they were with the king. You can look Esther 4 and 2. You had to be a certain way around the king. You couldn't go in and be sad. You had to be happy, and you had to be more than joyful to serve him. Everything was all about the king. Amen. Hey, it could cost you your life. They could be killed. It could cost Nehemiah his life to go in, but he was grieved. He was heavy burden. He had been in fasting and prayer for 4 months. But God was in control. So the king was kind to Nehemiah. He used wisdom to tell the king why he was sad. He didn't mention Jerusalem because, again, remember I told you yesterday that back in the book of Ezra, the king had forbidden them to rebuild the city. So he used wisdom to tell him why he was sad. And again, he didn't mention Jerusalem. He asked him to send him to Judah to rebuild the city where the graves of his ancestors were. Oh, my. So, back in those days, that was something that was important to people, to take care of the graves of their ancestors, to make sure that it was in good condition, it was groomed well. It was a 4-month walk from Persia to Judah. This is how far it was. He asked for letters for safe passage through the different territories. He asked for a letter for wood from the king's forest. He asked the king to protect him. So soldiers were assigned to him. He told no one as he examined the gates. You're just going to have to read on down because these are just the highlights I pulled out of this second chapter. I'm like, wow, what did Nehemiah ask for? The king said, what do you want? And the queen was sitting there too. And he had found favor in the sight of the king. And because the king had kindness toward Nehemiah, Nehemiah went ahead because now, again, he had 4 months to think about how he was going to do, what he was going to do. He relied on God to give him what to say to the king and what to ask for. But Nehemiah, again, told no one as to what the strategy was, what his plans was. So he slipped out once he got there at night and began to examine the gates. God wanted the Jews to be his special people. He wanted them to remain separate from the other nations. Now, because they had been in captivity and they were familiar with these people, they kind of turned away from keeping the commandments, the statutes of God. And so they began to intermingle with intermarry with the Babylonians, the Persians. And that's not what God wanted for his people. He wanted them to remain separate from the other nations. to uh, to rebuild a place that would be a safe place for the people to live, a city for God. My. This was the task at hand. Nehemiah was to rebuild a city for God's people. Is God asking you to rebuild anything? Is he asking you to build anything? I, I, I mean, we have to, as his chosen people, know our boundaries. We can be in this world, but not of this world. We have to have a heart for the things of God. This is what Boots on the Ground is about. We are the boots on the ground concerning the things of God. Oh, wow. It's amazing. Now, tomorrow, we're going to begin talking a little bit about the third chapter of Nehemiah. And I hope you're enjoying our little mini videos on the gates. So God bless you. Thank you for joining me here today, and we'll see you again tomorrow. Bye-bye.